Elizabeth Zimmerman said, when you have to rip out, you should say, hooray, more of my favorite hobby, or
She was brilliant, wasn't she? I love
the other
Elizabeth
thing she
Zimmerman.
said is, you're getting double your money out of the purchase of that yarn. You're getting twice
That is
the
so
payment
funny.
value of it.
I love
And
that.
it
I
doesn't
had
always feel that way, but it's good to
no.
remember that she said that.
Originally, I had an Elizabeth Zimmerman epigraph in the book. In the end, I used Wendell Berry, but
I
there
like
was
that
a
one.
similar, yeah, it was a nice. The Wendell Berry had more resonance with the pandemic. And
You know where I saw that quote I saw it on the wall of the bathroom in Swanee, Tennessee, at Shenanigans Restaurant, which is on
well, that's where I got it.
Somebody, it was like a super literary bathroom. I mean, it was like people could outdo each other with, profound things. And I read it and I took a picture of it. I'll send it to you.
I like that.
But
well, they got the college there, I guess, right?
There's the University of the South called Swanee. All right. So we made it through spinning. Or did we? What'd you end up with? How much? How many yards? What weight? Let's go. Details.
It was super bulky. Because I started out and I made it too thick, and then what could I do? I didn't have enough yarn to start. I couldn't start over. So once I started, that was it. I made like sort of the singles were what the double should have been. I feel like I had 1,200 yards, but I can't quite remember now. Enough. Good. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was all right. When there's a yarn store that I
don't want to go backwards in time, but I would imagine that after the shearing, you must have felt like such a badass, like just physically.
I was pretty impressed with myself. No, I didn't. I was really worried that I didn't have enough fleece, so it kind of stressed me out. But my shearing teacher, who's half my age, and I really wanted to learn, I mean, all through are women, but I really wanted to specifically learn shearing from a woman, which is not so easy because there aren't a lot of women who do it. Because I thought it's such an upper body strength thing that I needed somebody who understood that I wasn't going to be able to have that kind of upper body strength. So I did understand that at least that much. But she said when we were, after I'd done the first sheep, which took an hour and a half, takes her 3 minutes by comparison.
Wow.
She said, you're good at, you've got a knack for this. And she said this to me again recently, we were talking. And I said, no, Laura, I do not have a knack for this. And she said, no, really, you do. Most people are either crying or cursing by now, and you're not doing either one. Plus, the tendency when the sheep wriggles is to throw the blade. But every time you do it, they're going to charge you. She's going to charge you $20 because it breaks the blade. So she's like, drop the sheep, don't throw the blade. And I never threw the blade. And so she's like, that combination, really good. And I said, if I didn't think I have to do this because I've committed to do this for my work. If I didn't, I would throw the blade, be cursing like a sailor and sobbing, believe me. So it wasn't
I think it's very impressive. It's never even occurred to me to want to shear a sheep. And
that's so interesting.
I'm there at Rhinebeck every year.
Yeah.
Surrounded by people shearing sheep, and it never tempts me.
What about the rest? Maybe because you've seen it. What about the rest of you in the chat? Have you ever thought about shearing? If you were nod your head or do a little thumbs up or something? No. Yeah, you have. There's somebody. Huh. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I salute all of you.
Yeah.
The thing I like to do is the dyeing part.
Yes. So the dyeing was amazing, and to go back to that. I mean, and I started by trying to dye with things in my yard. Starting with I had a fig tree in my yard, and it just made, I mean, I live in California, but I'm from the Midwest originally. I'm from Minneapolis, and I lived on the East Coast for a while. And that's, all of kind of a piece in terms of topography and plants and stuff. It all looks familiar. But then you move to California, and it's like nothing you've ever seen. And I've lived here for more than 35 years, and I still don't know the names of anything. And so there was a way that it pulled me into my environment. And everything just felt like it was pulsating. I mean, I felt like it was almost like psychedelic. You just like look at everything and think, what color would my lemon tree make? What color would those redwood cones make? What color, like it's kind of an incredible experience to think about what you can, evoke, what your magic, what your witchcraft. I mean, craft, right? Craft is witchcraft, right?
Yeah.
What
So
you
what did you find? What did you find that worked that you were surprised?
um my friend Helen, who has a nursery, gave me some flowers, and the coreopsis was really the fun part too, is that if you add assists, I don't know if any of you are dyers, but if you add a little iron, it saddens it, so it changes the color. If you add a little washing soda, it brightens it, changes the color. So you can have something that's yellow and throw a little iron and suddenly you've got dark green, or you can have yellow and suddenly throw a little washing soda and you've got orange, and all that was super fun. And then so there was the kind of the funness, though it's not easy. I mean, it's an art. It is a real art, and it was a place where I really felt my own inexpertise quite profoundly. But I also really observed staring at, I'm just going to show you the sweater because now I feel like I have to. I got bored with my Middle Earth palette, so I started, after a while I started sending away for colors. But here, can you see it?
Yay.
There it is. So you've got like
Peggy, so that you're the
this
main.
is logwood chips and indigo, of course, and dahlias, and the pinks are, I think that's lac, which is a bug. That's some fig, coreopsis. There's madder root. Yeah, there's some other colors there and some combinations, but it was, I mean, it was another place where you learned that you could tell oh, there I am, that you could tell the history of the world this way. And it was sort of like with red, I got really into red, which is not a color I actually like that much. But the Spanish found in the 16th century, I think, they discovered during the conquistador period, when they were off marauding and colonizing, that in Latin America, that there was this bug, and if you squished the females, I don't know how they knew they were female, one drop of durable, light, color fast carmine came out, and it was the most beautiful red that had been found. And they took all these, and you need 250,000 bugs to dye a pound of cloth, and they took it all over to Europe, and made their empire out of it, basically, because nobody could figure out what it was. They didn't know it was bugs. They didn't know where they got it. And they kept it secret for 200 years. It was just astonishing. And then meanwhile, indigo was coming, and supplanting other kinds of blue from the other way. And the reds and the indigo were like at war. And so the merchants of red would bribe stained glass makers to make devils blue, so that people would associate them with blue, with hell, and not buy blue, which didn't work, and all this crazy stuff. And then in the 19th century, this guy who was kind of like the Steve Jobs of his era was doing a chemistry experiment in his attic or something, in his room on a break from college, and there was this sort of purplish pinkish stuff in the test tube. He wiped it with a white cloth and it wouldn't come out of the cloth. And he'd invented, first of all, the color mauve, and depending on where you're from, and also chemical dye. That was it. It was made of coal tar. And from that, all our dye came. And within 20 years, all the natural dye was basically gone. All the lore, all the history, all the money, fortunes, bang, gone. And it just reminded me so much of this time that we live in now, where, books and taxi cabs and democracy and now chatbot, what's going to happen to writing, and all, like every day it seems that something that we thought was eternal gone. And how do we adapt? How do we live with that? What do we do with that? It was just really interesting to see that cycle repeat. Change is the only constant.
Change is the only constant. And also, in a very strange way, all the things that you just described are actually the result of creative curiosity, maybe for good or for ill, but, this human impulse, I think, is the thing that will remain forever. And the only question is whether we can channel it and marshal our, protections against the things that are scary or dangerous.
Or are going to destroy our planet, or
yeah,
which was another thing, but that's it was so color brought out so much. And then it was just, I don't know, it was just fun. If you've never done it, it takes a lot of equipment. Like you need to have a lot of, because you can't use your cooking pots, obviously you wouldn't
Mhm.
want to do that, but
Yeah.
it is just a really incredibly fun, artistic and
Kind of
magical.
euphoric. It's kind of,
Yeah.
It's
I've
transformative, like a
I've
change.
done a bit of dyeing. I dyed with woad in France. And the women I was with, we all were like in a kind of trance. As long as those vats were there were people getting up early in the morning, in case the vat was still going,
Yeah.
to dip one last thing. It was just, every time you did it, it was a thrill to see the transformation happen.